Hey there, everybody. Pete here from Comic Book Geezers. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Cover. We're going to continue on a little bit longer with the whole kind of, you know, Halloween theme of showing you guys some cool monster and horror themed comics from our collections. I'm actually going to be getting together with Wild Bill this weekend so we can record a whole bunch of stuff. I know it's been mostly me solo for the last couple of weeks due to all sorts of reasons, but we wanted to kind of continue on and show you some cool stuff here. So today we're going to take a look at a book from Marvel Comics from 1973, Chamber of Chills, issue number 7. All right, and I hope you like my new kind of setting here. So I've got a new one of those newfangled desks that rise, right? So you can actually stand up and show stuff, which is a little bit easier than sitting down trying to deal with these things. So yeah, cool cover. Pray for Keeps. This is the cover picture. Weldon, where the devil are you hiding, Weldon? Get back here and help me track down that werewolf. All right, so this is not the main, it's the cover story, but it's not the first story in the book in the inside, as we'll see. And I do want to let everybody kind of remember this. So Weldon, Wheldon. Remember that, because we're going to kind of get back to that a bit. So here we go. We're going to start off. We got prizes for cash, right? All sorts of weird stuff. And then a mystic adventure into horror, Death Notice, Stan Lee presents. So basically, this story is about a guy. The guy's name, what is his name again? His name is Mac Maxon, and he works for a local newspaper, and he writes the obituaries. Okay. Sounds like a pretty thankless job, right? Well, that's what he thinks. He goes, so-and-so passed on and is mourned by his grieving family and will be buried at, I'm sick of this gruesome stuff. I'm a man, not a ghoul. The most lowly underpaid job in this place. Ames, who's his boss, that's the name of his boss, has got to give me a promotion and a raise. That's all I'll beard the old goat in his den. So basically he's going to go into the office, okay, Mac, and he's going to demand a raise and a different job. So he goes in and says, look here, Ames, I might as well be working in a morgue with stiffs. Give me another job or else. And then his boss, Ames, goes, or else what, Maxon? You were lousy on reporting and rewrites. All your stories had a flavor of decadence and savage spite. You've got a mean and macabre mind. Stick to obits or you're fired. Now get out. And he goes, I'll fix your clock, chum. Wait and see. So, of course, Max starts to plot exactly what he can do here. So what he decides to do is he figures out he's going to try a scheme. He's like, I've got it. I'll print an obit of someone, an obituary of someone who's still alive. And then then they'll see the obituary and they're like, why are they printing an obituary for me? And then they're going to sue the newspaper. Okay, and then he'll quit and he'll laugh. So he's like, I'm going to do this so the newspaper gets sued, and then I'll be like, haha, I got you, and then I'll leave. He won't have a job, of course. So really, this plan, does it really make a lot of sense? Not really. But so what he does, so he goes and does what he does. He finds this woman, Miss Van Scheid. She's apparently like a big to-do woman in the town or whatever. So he prints this false obituary, appears in the morning edition, and I waited for the uproar. He goes, I can hardly wait for Ames to blow his top when her lawyers come in to rake him over the coals. Wait, my phone. So he gets a phone. He goes, Mac, this is the city desk. Got a hide on it for you. Miss Van Scheid died last night of an unexplained ailment. Get it in your obit column right away. And he's like, what? He goes, she died fulfilling my advance obit? I feel like a murderer. So there's him just thinking at the bottom. It's like, oh my God, what did I do here? But then the more he thinks about it, so he says, okay, but wait a second. Maybe I can use this. So again, he does another one the next day, and it turns out the guy that he did the advance obituary from, who was still alive at the time, dies in a plane crash. Okay, that's up at the top there. So he's like, wait a second. Now he's like, the wheels are turning. He goes, it worked again. My obit said exactly that in advance. And then he knew the triumphant truth. The pen is mightier than the sword. I have the power to kill, yet nobody suspects me. Who can connect these debts with my obscure little obituary column? It's perfect. So what does he do? He goes out and he devises a plan. He's like, I can slay right and left and never get caught. And this means cold cash for me. There's a steady cash market for hired killers. I'll get an assignment in the underworld. So he goes to like a mobster and he's like, you know what I can do for 50 grand? I can go and have all of your enemies killed and then you pay up, and you'll be and have no enemies left. So he finds this guy. His name was what's this dude's name? Something Quaid. Yeah, something Quaid, whatever the hell his name is. Anyway, he goes and he tells him what he's going to do. He doesn't tell him, but he's like, I can do this for you. Don't worry how I do it. So he goes, he gets a list of all the names, and of course they die. One of them was a judge, another fellow mobsters, whatever, and the judge dies on the stand, right? The mobsters, as you can see here, one falls off a building, one gets in a car crash, burning building, blah, blah, blah. So he goes and collects his money, and of course, Chiller Quaid, that's his name, Chiller Quaid is all sorts of happy, gives him his 50 grand, right? He's all sorts of happy. So then the next day, his boss gets to him, he goes, Maxon, those people who died, you printed their obits in advance. You knew they were going to die. You had something to do with their deaths. He goes, sure, Chief, I'm guilty. I confess to all. He goes, I'll tell the police. Oh, he goes, will you, Ames? I was just waiting for the moment. You see, I just put in your obit today. It says you died of a stroke. Well, don't just stand there. Die like it says. You can't make a liar out of me. You dirty killer. And then, of course, Ames, his boss, drops dead of a stroke, just like he predicted it, right? So he's like, he had his revenge. He's like, nobody around to bother with me. Now I'll write out the obituaries of people I hate. How about that guy who refused to loan me $1,000, the cheapskate, whatever. But then he notices, he's like, that the presses are running. Because, once the boss died, they had to shut down operations of the newspaper. So for a little bit till they got a replacement in and got things up and running. So he's sitting there at night, he's thinking about the next thing he can do, all the people he can eliminate, and he's like, and he hears all the presses working downstairs. He's like, what's going on? So he goes downstairs to the city desk. His eyes bulged in horror at the figure sitting there. Judge Johnson, the judge I killed, but you're dead. Of course I'm dead, Maxon. You saw to that. So all of a sudden, he starts to see people that he killed off now are these ghosts sitting in the newspaper, running all the printing presses and everything like that. One by one, he sees them all. And then he sees his former boss, right? And he goes, so why are you running the presses? Why are you printing up? Who started all this? And Ames goes, I did, Maxon. You know me, Anton Ames. Dead or alive, I'm still running my paper. So you think you're safe from the law? There is no evidence linking you with any of these killings. Nobody knows the true story except us. Now look. And of course, he shows him the paper that's going to run that morning. Maxon guilty of wholesale death. Stop the presses, he yells. Stop the presses. I'll smash the press. Oh, wait. Don't come near me. Don't touch me. I fled from the haunted plant in terror, but soon aboard a train I calmed down. I even laughed for I would escape their vengeance entirely. He goes, this edition won't hit the streets for hours. I've got time to get far away and skip the country. After all, I've got 50 grand. I got away from the ghost. Ha, ha, ha. And then, of course, but then, just as I was ready to destroy the incriminating copy I had taken along, my eye caught a certain item. A shriek tore from my throat. No, not that. Suddenly there was a grinding of steel. The train shook. The lights went out. Good heavens, it must be a arg. And then what do we see in the obituaries? Printed that Maxon died in a train wreck. So the prophecy came true. And just as he started writing early obituaries and killing all these people, now he had it done to him. Goodbye, Maxon, right? See you later. So that's that story. All right, next. Now we're going to go to the cover story. So Pray for Keeps. Tom Burke knows he should never have accepted the invitation. The heat told him, the meshed skin of dense foliage told him, and the swarming of mosquitoes buzzed their warnings. And his innate hunter's instinct told him that to accept an invitation to this isolated outpost, an invitation by wolves in sheep's clothing, would result only in deception. So here we got these three guys who are hunters. They're big game hunters. And they get together out in some remote location, not really quite sure exactly where it is, to go after some big game. So you got, glad you can make it, Burke. And the other guy says, yeah, the big cats are out in force this season. Hello, Fernman and Welton. Remember I said, early Welton? So here it's spelled Whelton. On the cover, it says it twice, Wheldon. Quality control. People of Marvel, we're not looking at this. Not looking at this. Anyway, written by Doug Mensch, drawn by Ron Wilson and Jack Abel on the inks. So he goes, so Burke's like, nice place you got out here. You get last year's big one from here? He goes, yes, largest cat ever bagged, large enough to cop us the annual trophy, a real beaut. Solid silver. Okay, so there's the trophy in the bottom. All right, they got a silver trophy of a guy with a gun. Right. So, like I said, these are big game hunters. They're obviously very competitive amongst each other. All right, then we got some Formula One racers by Corgi. All right. So, but little did Burke know that the prey that was going to be hunted was not a big cat, not a bear, not a wolf, but him. So they're now going to be hunting humans. So basically they say, well, we figure we would have won it anyway, Burke. Hunting is in our blood. After all, we've hunted and bagged the most dangerous game in the world, except for one species. Except for man, Burke. Man, truly the most dangerous game in the world. He goes, you're mad? Mad, Burke? You better believe it. I'm also sick and tired of you being hailed as the greatest big game hunter alive, when that trophy says we have claim to the title. But since you couldn't compete last year, Burke, there's some questions as to whether you would have captured the trophy. Let's just say we're going to lay that question to rest by hunting you. Don't do it, Welton. I'm warning you, you'll never shut up and get outside. You've got 10 minutes, Burke. So basically, Burke takes off. He's got a 10-minute head start. We've kind of seen, Most Dangerous Game, if you're a fan of that classic film. We've seen this story kind of before, right? So he's got a 10-minute head start, so he goes out, so they see the footprints. And they're like, all right, we're going to follow Burke. But all of a sudden in the bottom, say, what the? He kicked his boots off, and those prints aren't human. So you can see where the boot prints are, and then afterwards, you got some strange footprints. And then they hear some howling. Well, wait a second. The jungle doesn't have any wolves. So what's going on out here, right? So then they start talking about how Burke last year was mauled by a wolf. That's why he didn't compete in that last tournament, right? So he goes, maybe he got bitten by a werewolf and turned into a werewolf. Now he's a werewolf now. So what are we going to do, right? So Fernman basically says, I'm out of here. He goes, that's just it. Burke is the wolf and not a normal wolf. Look, Furman, I told you to shut up. Now, either you do that or slink back to the outpost and out of my hair. He wants them, they're going to go take him out, right? Because they figure now he's not just a man, he's a werewolf. So even bigger and better, right? So, but Furman's like, no, I'm out of here. So he goes, all right, Welton, if those are the choices, I'm choosing the outpost, but I ain't slinking. I'm going back because nothing but a silver bullet can stop a werewolf. So he's like, werewolf, huh? Well, I always wanted to hunt the most dangerous game, and if the most dangerous game ain't man, maybe it's a werewolf. So he keeps following the tracks, right? And all of a sudden, he gets to a spot where all of a sudden you see a werewolf up in the tree, right? It's like, who's there? He hears the howling. Who's there? Back at the cabin, you've got the other dude who is melting down the trophy, right? Trying to melt down the trophy to make a silver bullet. So thank God this trophy's solid silver, but it's taking so long to melt down. So meanwhile, the other dude is like, are you up there, Burke? Are you up there in the tree? I hear something. And then, and the answer is, oh my God, and out flying from the tree comes the werewolf. He goes to shoot him, but of course, it's a regular bullet. Regular bullets don't kill werewolves. So, and then the other guy hears a shot. He goes, he melts down the trophy. He's got his silver bullet. He goes, I may not be too late. Haven't heard a shot yet. Boom, but he hears a shot. He's like, oh, if I'm right about Burke being a werewolf, that normal bullet Welton just fired will have done about as much damage as a squirt from a water gun. And God help me if this silver bullet doesn't prove substantial. He goes, too late. You didn't believe me, Welton, and you paid for it. He sees a dead guy on the bottom. It's funny, Welton. You were tired of hunting beasts, so we want to hunt a man, but we picked a man who's really a beast. Okay. So there we get that. So then he starts heading back, and he's following the tracks. So he sees more footprints, whatever, and he hears, the growl of the werewolf. He goes, that growl, he must have gone back to get me from behind. So he looks behind, he sees a beast he sees the werewolf up in the tree. He goes, listen to me, Burke, if you still have enough brain hidden in that grotesque body, it's all over for you. I know how you die, and the knowledge is in the rifle. So basically, he shoots him, okay? He kills him. He turns back into a man, but all of a sudden he's looking and he sees who he's turning back into, and he goes, wait a second, you're Welton. Oh my God. But for Furman, definitely the wrong man. Why didn't I remember that Welton would transform into a werewolf too, since he was killed and bitten by the werewolf Burke has become? Instead of avenging Welton's death, I've killed him a second and final time. And then all of a sudden he hears another growl and a howl from behind him. He goes, my God, Burke's still alive then, and I don't have another silver bullet. So basically he is screwed, right? Because although, in werewolf lore, you don't get killed by a werewolf and then turn into a wolf man like immediately, right? So basically that's what happens here. So Burke killed Welton. Welton immediately turned into a werewolf. So now you got two werewolves roaming around. So Mr. Furman is basically, he's shit out of luck, right? So pretty cool story, but kind of is a little bit lenient with the werewolf mythology, but pretty interesting. And then the last story, which is by far the worst story in the book, is I Am the Prisoner of the Voodoo King. Ever see a problem with no solution? Well, you're about to see one now. So basically this guy and this dude right here, that's him right there. Okay. He is I guess a convict, right? A prisoner. So they're in Africa. Oops, we got some cool ads. So basically, there were many people leaving the jungle outpost that day, but I was the only one handcuffed to a cop. So basically, this dude is being arrested and being kind of extradited, right, from wherever they are in Africa or something like that. So they're going on a ship. He somehow bamboozles the cop, slips him a Mickey in his drink. He passes out. He uncuffs the handcuffs, jumps off the ship, and goes back to wherever it is they were. He's followed by alligators, gets past them, whatever, and he stumbles upon a voodoo tribe. Okay, and the voodoo tribe is like doing this whole ceremony and looking, and they're praying to some golden statue. God, some sort of thing. So he sees this golden statue and he's like, woohoo, I'll go up and I'll steal that. I'll go sell it. I'll be rich. I'm a free man, whatever. So he breaks into their camp. Before we're doing so, let's take a look at the Spider-Man medallion coin and Friends of Old Marvel, boom. That's Tala down below. Tala doesn't like this story. And then now he's going to go grab the hunk of gold and scram out of here. Behold, an infidel. He seeks to steal the Voodoo King. That statue's the Voodoo King. So he goes. They start up a fire around, because apparently they can conjure up fires, these voodoo folks, right? And all of a sudden a big fire goes around the statue, but of course his clothes are soaking wet, so he's like, I can go through the fire, grab that, I'm still soaking wet. So he does, he grabs it, he runs, they go chasing him. All of a sudden you see these snakes coming to life out of trees and trying to stop him, whatever. Okay. And then he meets up with this other dude, this other, voodoo guy, and he says, you stole the Voodoo King. And he's like, you steal Voodoo King has a curse. He goes, I warn you to shut up. Now shut up, you for good. And he goes, just let me put this hunk of gold down and I'll quiet you real permanent. He goes, hey, I can't let go of the thing. So all of a sudden, he's got the Voodoo King statue in his hand and he can't, it won't, it's like stuck to him. So he's like, what's happening? No matter how hard I try, how much I shake, I can't get loose from the statue. Is voodoo curse. Voodoo curse. You, pick up that axe. Try to hack the statue off of me. He's trying to do it. It doesn't work. So basically, his greed, all right, now has put this curse on him, and he is now stuck to the statue forevermore. His last words are, so here I am now, wondering, thinking, hoping for a miracle I don't deserve. What's going to happen to me? What is going to happen to me? If I go back to the Voodoos to get them to remove the curse, they'll kill me for stealing this sacred statue. So basically, dude, you are shit out of luck. So basically, another morality story. It's like, don't be greedy because you never know what can happen to you. There you have it. Kind of a lame story, but the first two stories are actually pretty decent. So there you have it. Chamber of Chills from 1973, 20 cents. Issue number 7, Pray for Keeps. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our videos. Like I said, I'll be getting together with Wild Bill this weekend, so we'll have some cool new videos coming for you over the weeks ahead of the both of us. We're also going to, I think Kirk is going to join some of these as well, so stay tuned for that and a lot more here on the channel. I am Pete. Thanks for watching here at Comic Book Geezers. See you real soon. Bye-bye.